If talent and respect, this conversation wouldn't exist. Black athletes dominate stadiums, black musicians dominate charts, black actors dominate Hollywood, yet people argue that something is still missing. Why? Every generation has produced extraordinary black people who changed the world, yet many still ask the same question. If black excellence is undeniable, why do debates about respect, equality, and representation continue? To understand why black excellence doesn't always equal respect, we have to start at the beginning. 4 chapters, 1 question. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. How race was created. When the Portuguese arrived in the Americas, they wanted land, wealth, and above all, labor. They used the indigenous populations for free and forced labor. As the indigenous people were unalived from the extreme violence and diseases, they turned to Africa. But there was a problem. How do you convince people that enslaving millions of human beings is acceptable? You create a story that says you are superior and the Africans are inferior. That story is what we now call race. It wasn't created to explain slavery, it was created to justify it. As slavery became profitable, the story had to be defended. So scholars, writers, and politicians began producing so-called scientific studies that claim black people were less intelligent, less civilized, and are closer to animals than Europeans. None of it was true. It wasn't real science. It was propaganda dressed up as science. These findings spread to schools, books, newspapers, and governments. Over time, they shaped how the world saw black people, not as equal, but as inferior. And once that perception took hold, it didn't disappear when slavery ended. It simply evolved. When slavery was abolished across Europe, the US, and much of the Americas, on paper, black people were finally free. But freedom didn't erase centuries of lies. The chains were gone, but the stereotypes remained. The laws changed, but many people's beliefs did not. The idea that black people were inferior had been repeated for generations. It had become part of society, influencing school, politics, the media, and everyday life. So while slavery ended, the story that had been created to justify it lived on, and it still affects people today. The civil rights movement fought to end segregation and secure equal rights under the law. Across Africa, independence movements defeated colonial rule, and in South Africa, apartheid finally came to an end. On paper, black people were free. They had legal equality. They had civil rights. Despite centuries of discrimination, black people rose to the top. Athletes broke records, musicians changed global culture, actors became Hollywood icons, entrepreneurs built billion-dollar businesses. Names like Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Oprah Winfrey, Pelé, Nelson Mandela, etc. But here's the question: if black excellence has reached the highest levels of success, why hasn't it erased the perceptions created centuries ago? Michael Jackson became one of the biggest artists in history, but he was relentlessly scrutinized and stereotyped. Whitney Houston broke records, yet still faced racist attitudes throughout her career. Oprah Winfrey became a billionaire and one of the most influential women in the world, yet she has spoken about facing racism despite her success. Pelé became a global football icon, yet he also endured racist abuse because of the color of his skin. Their achievements earned admiration, but admiration is not always the same as respect. Their stories remind us that even extraordinary success could not completely erase the perceptions that have been built over centuries. Even in recent years, we've seen the same pattern. In 2021, after the UEFA Euro final, Bukayo Saka was subjected to horrific racist abuse online after missing a penalty. It didn't matter if he was England's brightest talent. In that moment, his achievements didn't protect him. Talented you are still black.
Todos os dias.
Michael B. Jordan is a recent example. He is one of Hollywood's biggest stars. He's a successful actor, producer, and businessman, with blockbuster films and global recognition, yet his success hasn't made him immune to racial bias. At the 2026 BAFTA Awards, while Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo were presenting an award, a racial slur was shouted from the audience. During the 2026 World Cup, black players representing countries like England, Germany, and the Netherlands were once again targeted with racist abuse, while Germany's Football Federation condemned this, and the Prime Minister of the Netherlands promising prosecution of the perpetrators. The French team is not exempt from this. They face criticism for not being French enough and called the African team. Even the former Prime Minister of Spain said they're not French. What's more outrageous was the statement from a Paraguayan senator who called Mbappé a colonized Cameroonian passing as French. She made derogatory remarks about his looks and compared his origins to chimpanzees. She has come under fire from FIFA, the UN, and Emmanuel Macron, with the French Football Federation filing a lawsuit for aggravated public insult and racial abuse. The whole world came in defense of Mbappé. Kylian Mbappé made one of the greatest clapbacks in history and said Amarilla is a despicable woman unworthy of her position. It has been one hell of a tournament for black players. It's like there is no winning. Even with black inventors who changed the world, black scientists have made groundbreaking discoveries, black entrepreneurs who have made billions, doctors, engineers, and innovators, even with their work getting global recognition, the world sees their blackness first. If black excellence alone isn't enough, then what is? History suggests that how people view a country, and often its people, is influenced by more than individual success. Its economic strength, political influence, military power, scientific innovation, strong institutions, and cultural influence all shape how nations are perceived on the world stage. Racism will not end just because Africa becomes powerful. But if Africa has greater influence, we can shape global narratives, protect our interests, our Afro-descendants all over the world, as well as command international respect. So perhaps the goal isn't individual success, but building stronger economies, investing in education and innovation, strengthening institutions, creating globally competitive businesses, and giving future generations more opportunities to succeed. Because lasting change often comes when the entire societies become stronger. We need to put our petty differences aside as black people in order for us to succeed in the world and command global respect. Unity is needed.
Let me tell you, we need to look at what's happening in Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. President Traoré is standing up. He is saying the natural resources in Burkina Faso, they belong to the people of Burkina Faso. African leaders must also say Africa first. That is what African leaders need to look at.